Guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. My name's Amanda, and today I want to share with you all of the books that I added to my Goodreads TBR during the month of February. So during the month of February, I added 7 books to my Goodreads TBR. That's it. I'm super happy with that number. And here's the kicker. Of those 7 books, two were middle grade. So it's not even like a whole slew of middle grade books, which I'm also very excited about. So as always with these videos, I will link in the description box down below where I heard about these books from. And please go check out some of these ladies. They are fantastic. So let's start with number 1. The first book I added to my Goodreads TBR this month is The Royal Nanny by Karen Harper. This is a new book that is coming out, and I found out about it through Goodreads. I think I was going through like applying for giveaways, like entering giveaways on Goodreads, and that's where I found it. But it sounds fascinating to me. It's based on the true story of, I think her name was Charlotte Bell, but it was the nanny of David and Albert, who were the princes, and they eventually became King Edward VIII and King George VI, but they were brothers, and it's about their nanny, and I think that is just a fascinating kind of story to tell, and I really, really want to check this one out, so sounds great to me. The next one that I added is a new release by Elizabeth Acevedo, and I cannot believe I did not know about this until now. When I saw this on Emma Books' most anticipated releases of 2020, and when she mentioned it, I'm like, wait, what? How did I not know that this was coming out? Elizabeth Acevedo is coming out with a new book told in verse. I cannot wait to check out, especially this audiobook. I listened to The Poet X last year, I think it was, and it is such an amazing audiobook. Elizabeth Acevedo narrates her audiobooks herself, and she is so talented. And The Poet X was told in verse, just like this one is going to be, and I can't wait. I also listened to With the Fire on High, which is also by Elizabeth Acevedo, but it's not told in verse. But that's not important. Anyway, this book is called Clap When You Land, and it is about 2 sisters, one in the Dominican Republic, one in New York City, and they both find out that their father died. And through learning about that and their grief and all of that, they find out that they are sisters. And so they've lost their father, but they've gained a sister, and they're trying to figure out what's going on and learning about their father's secrets and all of that. It sounds amazing. I cannot wait. Yes. Anyway, so that was book number 2. Number 3 that I added to my list is called Band of Sisters, and this is by Kathy Golke, I think is how you pronounce her last name. This one, okay, so my mom and I are planning a trip to New York City. This is a big deal for us. It's a bucket list thing. We're very excited to go. But one of the key things that we're going to be doing when we're in New York City this spring is going to Ellis Island. That has been on the very top of my bucket list for a long time, and I am so excited to go to Ellis Island and just get to experience that. So I was looking for books that were about Ellis Island, and this one came up, and it sounds fascinating. So this is about this girl and her sisters who come through Ellis Island. They survive the rigors of that, and then they find out that their benefactor here in New York, or here in the United States, has died, and his family doesn't want to mess with them. So they kind of throw them out, and they're left up to their own, and so they end up getting a job at this department store, which they find out isn't what it really was. And so it's just kind of their story of how all of that affects them and their journey through it and all of that. So anyway, really horrible description, but the book sounds great. So anyway, I added that one. Another one that I added to my list is a graphic novel, and that is Day Tripper by Fabio Moon and Gabriel Ba. And I learned about this one from Kaylin Abridged, her video about her favorite books of 2019. She mentioned this, and it sounded really interesting for a graphic novel. This one, the way that Kaylin described it is basically this guy, you're following this guy and he keeps dying over and over and over again, and you don't know which of his deaths are his true death. And so you're experiencing him going through all of these experiences in life, and then he'll die, but you don't know which of the deaths is truly his. So it sounded really interesting. So I definitely want to check that out. I'm a sucker for a good graphic novel. We all know that. Book number 5 that I added is the one of the middle grade books that made its way onto this list, and that is A Kind of Paradise by Amy Rebecca Tan. And I first heard about this from Katie at Life Between Words. It was on her middle grade March TBR, and since then I've seen it on multiple other people's TBRs as well. And it is about a girl who basically gets in trouble at school, and her punishment is that she has to volunteer at the local library for the summer. And she does that, and it's kind of about the people she meets along the way and how she helps them and they help her, and that whole story. It sounds great. I don't know if I'm going to get to it this March, and that's why I added it to my official Goodreads TBR, because my TBR for this March is already so jam-packed, but we'll see. But I definitely wanted to add that one. Another middle grade book that I added that was on somebody else's middle grade March TBR is Catherine's War by Julia Billette. And this I heard about from Vanessa at Split Reads. It was on her middle grade March TBR. And this, I believe, is a translated work from French, because when I was looking it up, I could only find the French version on Goodreads for a while. But I did eventually find it, the English version, and I have it on hold at my library. But this one I added. It is about a little girl who lives in Nazi-occupied France during World War II, and it's about a little Jewish girl who basically has to go into hiding and assume a different identity so that she can survive. The thing is, her hobby, her interest is photography. And so as she's going through these experiences, she's taking pictures along the way and documenting it all with photographs. And it's based off of Julia Billette's mother's grandmother, maybe, or something along those lines. It's one of her relatives, so. And it just sounds great. I just read Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys, and one of the characters in that book was a photographer. And I saw in that book how much I really enjoyed reading about photographers and what they experience and how the photographs that they take, how impactful they are to their story. And so coming off of that and then seeing this one and in the form of a graphic novel, I just think that this is going to be amazing. I have another middle grade graphic novel on my middle grade March TBR that is kind of similar to this. It's about a Jewish girl in France during World War II who also has to go into hiding. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of how those two compare, but I really, really think that this one sounds like something that's right up my alley. And then the last book that I added to my TBR this month is called The Last Year of the War by Susan Mesner. And I heard about this one. Krista from Books and Jams does this series on her channel called Shelf Spotlight. And this past month, she did all of her unread World War II historical fiction. And this was one of the books on that list. And this book is about a German girl living in the United States during World War II, and her father is suspected of being a Nazi sympathizer, and so her family is sent to an internment camp in the United States during World War II, and it's about her life there, and she meets another little girl, a Japanese girl, while she's there, and they become friends, and it's just about them. And I think that it sounds amazing. I really want to get to this one sooner rather than later because it sounds like something that is right up my alley as well. So anyway, those are the 7 books that I added to my TBR this month. If you have read any of these, I would love to hear your opinions about them. Do you think any of these I should prioritize more than others? Are any of these duds that you don't think I should really read? I would love to hear your opinions either way. Also, make sure to go check out all the ladies that I mentioned. Like I said, I will have the links to all their videos down below in the description box. And yeah, other than that, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya!